Hello, Dave here again from Creative Guitar Lounge. I said the other day that I was going to do a little video about my Blackstar amp, which I'll do just now. What I wanted to do, just to kind of put a frame around it if you like, because I know there are lots and lots of reviews of these amps. They've been around for a while, but my reasons for buying one are that I've got this, hopefully you can see it in the frame, but I've got this 100 watt 3-channel Marshall valve amp that I've had for many years. It's fantastic. I've used it on stage lots, but it's phenomenally loud. It does have an attenuator, so you can switch it down to 25 watts rather than 100, but that's actually still really quite incredibly loud in real terms. So apart from playing it very quietly, using it in the house, even in this little home studio, a pretty quiet place where we live, it's still far too loud to get the best out of it, because valve amps really do need to be kind of wound up pretty loud to get the most out of them. So I guess that's why a lot of the big name manufacturers and some little boutique amp manufacturers have started doing these little tiny 5 and less watt amps. Blackstar actually do a 1 watt amp, and in fact this one we're going to look at today, the HT5R, is a 5 watt amp, but that switches down to half a watt. So my theory was, I've heard these amps before. I've recorded a band where the guitarist uses one and I thought they were fantastic. I looked at all of the amps that are available, Fender, Vox, Marshall, everyone does a small wattage amplifier these days, but Blackstar is kind of the one that appealed to me most from looking at the reviews and from hearing it, but also because of the features in it. I like to have a effects loop for a start, and this is one of the few of the ones that I looked at that has an effects loop. It also has an emulated speaker output, sort of direct output that you can do through a balanced Xlr cable, and it also has a USB output, so you can use it more or less like an interface. So it kind of ticked all the boxes for me. I've got a little valve amp that I can wind up on its half watt setting, or even the 5 watt setting if I know the neighbours are out, and get that really nice valve sound, which I've got close with my Boss GT100 processor and emulator. I've got, got some great sounds, but I just wanted to add a little tube amp into the picture. So anyway, that's the kind of story behind me getting this little amp. Let's press on and have a look at it. Okay, so here it is. Nice looking little thing, I think. Compact bijou. You've got a nice little kind of, I suppose, sort of modern checker cloth like front grille in front of the Blackstar's own make 12-inch speaker. And again, that's one of the things that makes this a little bit better than your average tiny amp, which can have 5, 8 or 10-inch speakers. 12-inch is always a better way to go, in my opinion. So you've got that. There's a nice little edge binding, the Blackstar logo, and the whole thing's covered in this quite attractive black kind of, I suppose it's like a Tolex PVC kind of vibe. And then on top we have got these quite nice sort of retro, if you like, chicken beak knobs, which I quite like. And what you get is 2 channels, a clean and an overdrive, each of which have 2 different voices. And according to Blackstar, these are similar to, one voice is similar to your sort of typical British amp, traditional classic sound, think Marshall, Vox, that sort of thing, maybe a slightly looser kind of feel. And then the other setting, the other voice, is the more modern American style, tighter, if you like, sort of high gain kind of sound. And for the overdrive channel, you have another knob on the end of the 3-channel EQ, which is called ISF, and that is a Blackstar thing, which allows you to basically just move the knob any point in between those 2 voices. So if you want a slightly more Americanized British sound, I suppose, you can set it somewhere in the middle, or all the way to the right is full on American, all the way to the left is full UK. That's the theory. So that's what you get on top. You can obviously switch between those with the included foot switch, so you can change channel, and when you're in a channel you can switch between the 2 voices that are there. So that's the top. And let's just tilt this over and have a look at the back, business end if you like. And what we have here, one of the things I noticed in another review, and I kind of see the point slightly, you may agree, it's a little bit fiddly to get to your actual inputs here because they're underneath rather than sort of on the back, so you're actually having to go under here to switch your cables in, rather than just here where you would possibly expect to find them as in most amps. But I don't think it's a big deal. It's going to be a little studio and home practice amp for me, so it's going to probably stay more or less in the same place with the same cables in it, so not really that much of a big deal. Anyway, what do we get in the back? We have obviously your mains cable input, and that comes with it, and you also have a speaker output selection here. So there are several. You've got the built-in speaker cable, obviously, and you also have 8 ohm and 16 ohm outputs to use with either 1 or 2x12 cabinets. Moving across here, we have our emulated stuff, which we're going to look at. So you've got a balanced Xlr Di Output, which is a speaker emulated output, and there's also a headphone output there, which again you can use as a DI, so you can use that as a stereo emulated silent output. And there's also a cabinet switch here, so you can choose which of these emulated speakers you would prefer, and you can go from a 4x12 or a 1x12. Okay, next over here we have an MP3 input, or a line in if you like, so if you want to play along with another source, you can plug it on in there and play along. Then we have our effects loop, send and return, with optional +4 or -10 dB depending on what kind of effects you're using. And then we have finally obviously our foot switch and our USB output, so we can use the amp more or less like an interface going straight into our computer to use with our DAW. So quite a nice, I think, little feature set. Certainly exactly what I was looking for, and which, you know, brought me to go for the Blackstar above anything else. So we'll have a listen to all the various sounds and make a comparison. Tiny change of plans, guys. I'm going to actually do a completely separate video to test this amp out, because what I've found is that even at the 0.5 of a watt setting, this is quite a loud little amp. Not too loud for the use that I have, but too loud to record in the same room as it. So I've actually ordered a couple of really long cables. So what I'm going to do is set everything up and then run a cable from the microphone and one from the guitar from my living room, which is through there, and then so I can crank this amp a little bit more, because it's just bleeding too much through even the good Sony headphones that I've got. So we'll get that done as soon as possible. Realistically, it's going to be the weekend or early next week. Okay, so look out for that, and that will definitely be on your way soon. Cheers for now, bye bye.